Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel. David White coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. Buhari rejoices with media on World Press Freedom Day. President-elect Bola Tinubu inaugurates projects in Rivers State. Plot in a moment. We begin this afternoon with Nigeria's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, who has rejoiced with the media on the occasion of this year's World Press Freedom Day. This year's celebration marks 30 years since the UN General Assembly's decision proclaiming an International Day for Press Freedom. And the President said the landmark was a tribute to media professionals who risked their lives held in the past 8 years. He charged media professionals to continue to be patriotic, work for the cohesion of a country, and exercise their freedom with a high deal of responsibility. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has launched the Nigeria Agenda New Jobs across the country. The launch, which comes nearly 7 weeks after the Federal Executive Council approved the policy document on March 15, was conducted by the President before the commencement of the weekly FEC meeting today. In his remarks, the President asserted that the vision is a product of a dynamic, knowledge-based economy to provide sustainable development by 2050. He expressed the belief that the document, which equally aims to increase per capita income of Nigeria to $33,328 per annum, deliberated the National Steering Committee for the preparation of the Medium-Term National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 and Nigeria Agenda 2050 in November 2020. In the meantime, President Buhari will today depart Abuja for London King and Queen Consort of the United Kingdom, respectively. A statement signed by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says the Commonwealth Secretariat will take advantage of a gathering of leaders in London to host a Commonwealth Summit for presidents and heads of government of Commonwealth countries on Friday, May 5th. Meanwhile, accompanying the president for Saturday's coronation ceremony are the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, his throne on September 8, 2023, after the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Away from that, President-elect Bola Tinubu has inaugurated some projects in Port Harcourt, the River State's capital. The commissioning of 12 flyovers took place in Obiokpo, local government area of the state. Present at the inauguration were Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, governors of Jigawa, Oyo, Ebonyi, Kwara, and Imo State, among others. In a separate development, the federal government says over 13,000 Nigerians have benefited from its various and social development. Nasir Gwazo disclosed this to newsmen during a meeting with relevant stakeholders in the humanitarian services in Abuja. Gwazo expressed the commitment of the federal government towards providing the needed support to the vulnerable persons in Nigeria. He said that the impact on the flood disaster necessitated collaboration with relevant humanitarian agencies to support government response towards providing succor to the victims. According to him, the 2020 flood disaster has resulted in the loss of lives and livelihoods of Nigerians across the country. Its case against the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and the Registrar of Trade Unions, RTU. This is according to a statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Olajide Oshundun. The case before the National Industrial Court, Abuja Division, is challenging an alleged threat by the federal government to withdraw the union's certificate of registration for not rendering annual financial returns and audited accounts for almost 10 years, according to the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, the RTU. As a union cannot be collecting check-off dues from members without submitting annual report. However, the ministry disclosed that the union had indicated it wants to resolve the issue amicably at the Alternative Dispute Resolution (ADR) Center of the court. Kingdom governments to grant former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice clemency. The call came less than 48 hours set dead for sentencing of the couple. The resolution of the Senate followed a motion on the matter moved by Senator Chukwuka Utazi during plenary. Recall that Ekweremadu and his wife have been found guilty of conspiracy to facilitate and arrange travel with the aim of exploitation by an Old Bailey jury. A third defendant, Dr. Obinna Betta, was also found guilty with the couple. Meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, House of Representatives, and the Economic Committee of West African States, ECOWAS, Parliament. On Sudan crisis, the Nigerian in Diaspora Commission, NITCOM, says the first batch of Nigerian students will arrive at Abuja in hours. According to a statement by NITCOM, they will be airlifted by NAF C-130 and Air Peace. It stated that 80 passengers will board the C-130 while Air Peace will airlift 274 passengers. According to the Commission, the check-in of the evacuees have commenced following normal airport protocols, and they are expected to land in Nigeria in 6 hours from the time of departure. Meanwhile, parents of the stranded Nigerians are expected to receive them at Abuja Airport alongside some government officials. Elsewhere, women and youths in large numbers have blocked the busy Jos Abuja highway to register their displeasure over the incessant attacks by gunmen in Plateau communities. Reports say the protest follows the killing of 2 youths by gunmen in Horse community in the Riyom local government area in Plateau State on Tuesday night. One of communities. According to reports, the victims were killed a few meters from a military checkpoint in the community. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Domimano has felicitated the Nigerian Union of Journalists and Media, Ekerete. Governor Domimano lauded the robust relationship that has existed between the media and his government. He added that though they have had moments of disagreement in the manner of certain reports, adversarial rather, he said they have accepted criticisms that are done without malice and have allowed media practitioners the freedom and latitude to report and analyze events without deploying the instrument of government to sanction, suppress, or force them to do. Akwa Ibom State Capital have called on the government to domesticate the Press Freedom Act, which was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari. They made the call in commemoration of the World Press Freedom Day, marked annually on May 3rd, to evaluate the level of press freedom around the world, defend the media from attacks, and try to pay tribute to journalists who lost their lives in the course of duty. Speaking with Spectrum Television on this year's theme, Shaping a Future of Rights, they said journalists have rights to expression and information. The media practitioners, however, added that there are lots of challenges facing journalists in the state and world at large, including the well-being of workers, healthcare, among others.
Of freedom of rights, freedom of speech as a means to the end. It's just the understanding of a smooth relationship between the government and the media. So this is just the beginning, this is just the foundation. And I'm happy that this is coming at the 30th anniversary, and the theme is also significant, and it's going to build a new orientation in the practice, also within our colleagues also. So that we know where we have our limits, and also government also know where they also have their limits, and also be able to ensure that they also respect the rights of journalists.
My message is that journalists should continue to do what is right, keep to the rules, keep to the tenets, keep to the code of ethics, and then know that this job one day we shall benefit.
Well, that we should keep on doing our duty without any fear or favor. That one day, we surely believe that what we are facing now will be a thing of past.
For the goal of this great profession, not gotten to that peak yet. There are little hitches here and there in the world, some part of the world, and Nigeria. Yes, but I can boast of Akwa Ibom State without mincing words.
Journalists should be allowed to express themselves within the borders of the law, and then the roles of journalists as watchdogs of the society should not be taken for granted. Where journalism, if properly fixed, could add to the development of the society. We are partners in the development of the state.
To the inauguration of the 23.4 kilometers Ekanan Road. Performing the inauguration, Obasanjo commended Governor Emmanuel for an impactful 8 years and prayed God to use Udom for the growth of the nation in Africa as a whole. Our correspondent completes the report.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has inaugurated the 23.4 kilometers Eket-Itinan Road with an appreciation of Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel for his outstanding and superlative performance in the last 8 years. Speaking during the event, Obasanjo, who described Udom as a performer and a result-oriented leader, charged the incoming administration to leverage on the good infrastructure in the state and invest in other sectors of the economy, like agriculture, to enhance the economy of the state.
To me, success is making a place better than you find it. And you have made the whole of Akwa Ibom State better than you have found it. And therefore, you are a success. But again, success has another part. Success, what you say to me is what has happened, which is capacity to, ability to, predictability. And Governor-elect, I congratulate you. I congratulate the governor. I congratulate myself. And I congratulate all the people of Akwa Ibom State.
Earlier in his address, Governor Emmanuel announced that he will inaugurate the official quarters for the Chief Judge of the state on the 29th of this month, just before the swearing-in of the new governor. The governor also assured that the MRO, second runway, and new terminal building at the Victor Ota International Airport will soon be ready for inauguration before he leaves office. Governor Emmanuel, however, noted that many other projects in the health, education, and power sectors, as well as other road infrastructures, which are at different stages.
That when we said that we worked in the last day before we hand over the baton to the next governor, who will run a marathon race as if he's running a 100-meter race, because there are still a whole lot of projects. Some at 90, some at 19 is about 90% completion. And I would have just, but they said they can't put asphalt under the rain at the speed that I wanted. So once we have August break, they will asphalt the remaining areas. And then that will also be commissioned. And I want to also let you know, even on May 29, before I get to the stadium, I will commission the official residence for the chief judge of this state. Before now, the chief judge had never gotten an official residence. I promise I'll commission that on May 29 before I go to the stadium to hand over the baton. And a lot of it was our vision in doing not just a taxiway when he landed at the airport. He saw the vision of a second runway, that we can commission that second runway before I leave the office. The MRO is also ready. We're waiting for the tooling and the equipment. But if the equipment is not in before May 29, the assurances that on May 26, we'll commission the latest, the smartest, and the most modern terminal building in Africa. Will be commissioned on that day.
In their goodwill messages, some stakeholders from the benefiting communities, including Senator Heli Neswene, Eket's local government chairman Akanimi Yenetomi, member representing Etina Federal Constituency on Ofiokluge, as well as the paramount ruler of Eket, Edidemi Sidi Abia, all expressed appreciation to the governor for the road project and many other life-touching achievements of his administration. The 23.489 Eket Road has 3 bridges and a 4.11 kilometers outfall drains. In Uyo, Jane Uwa, Spectrum Television News.
In the meantime, Akwa Ibom State Governor Emmanuel has announced that a valedictory church service to mark the end of his administration will be held on May 28 at the Ultra Modern International Worship Center. Governor Emmanuel, who disclosed this while addressing worshippers at the New Month Government House Covenant service held at the Banquet Hall, Government House, Uyo, explained that the International Worship Center is an altar built unto God by Akwa Ibom people as a worship center and a place of prayers to speak positive into the lives of the people as well as growth and development of the state. Reflecting on the 8 years of his administration, the governor expressed appreciation to God for the relative peace enjoyed in the state and thanked Christians who prayed fervently for the growth and development of Akwa Ibom. Governor Emmanuel said that God's benevolence has seen his administration through 2 major economic recessions and the outbreak of COVID-19, which ravaged the world. He maintained that his administration has been able to pay workers inherited from previous administrations. Government House correspondent Jen Owa reports that the senior pastor of Dunamis International Gospel Center, Dr. Paul Enenche, who delivered a sermon on the topic Season of Appreciation and Reflection, said that the conclusion of every endeavor or project there was need for appreciation and reflection, adding that the focus of appreciation was for help and mercy. Now to Africa, where UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has arrived in Kenya to follow up on the humanitarian and security situation in Sudan following weeks of clashes. Reports say Guterres was received today by Kenya's Foreign Affairs Minister Alfred Mutua at the main airport in the capital, Nairobi. Meanwhile, the warring military factions in Sudan have agreed to a 7-day truce starting on Thursday. Still in Africa, Western Rwanda Governor Francois Habitegeko says landslides and floods have killed more than 50 people after heavy rains pounded the western part of the country. Habitegeko said many houses collapsed on people, 55 dead recorded and many injured. The province's governor said the main roads and casualties could go higher as rescue activities in remote areas were underway. On a foreign scene, UN Secretary-General has said press freedom is under attack in every corner of the globe. Guterres issued a rallying cry for journalists and media worldwide. The Secretary-General revealed this in a video message while addressing a conference held at UN headquarters in New York. He said all freedom depends on press freedom, calling it the foundation of democracy and justice, and a human rights activist who had been jailed. Still on a foreign scene, 8 students and a security guard have been killed during a school shooting in the Serbian capital of Belgrade today. The Interior Minister says the shooting occurred at 8:40 a.m. at the elementary school in Belgrade's downtown Vraka district. It said 6 children and 1 school teacher were wounded, and the police arrested a teenager suspected of carrying out the attack with his father's gun. President Belgrade's Vraka district, Milan Nedeljkovic, told reporters that the school security guard likely prevented more deaths by putting himself in front of the shooter. Meanwhile, all police forces are still on the ground and are intensively working to shed light on all the facts and circumstances that actually led to this tragedy. Still to come in the news, Guardiola's praises Arsenal for winning most important title this season. Do stay with us. Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. On our business news, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Ernest Umakihe, has said that livestock subsector accounts for more farmers on the utilization of low-grade grains. Also noted that the utilization of the cheapest and most available livestock feed was a major challenge facing farmers in Nigeria. The Permanent Secretary, who was represented by the Director, Animal Husbandry Services, Winnie Sullivan, said the subsector goes beyond the production of meat, milk, and eggs. Meanwhile, the organized private sector of Nigeria, comprising the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industries, NASI, and the Nigerian Association in the circular was reportedly signed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. In a statement signed by the Director General, MAN, Segun Kadire, Director General Nasima Olushola Obadimo, and other directors called for an immediate reversal of the hike. It said the increase sector is presently grappling with unprecedented challenges, including the sustained scarcity of naira, limited access to foreign exchange, a struggling economy, and persistent inflation, alongside problems of multiple taxation and inadequate power supply. In health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) has said it was extending its investigation of Indomie noodles to factories and markets following fear of the presence of ethylene oxide. Noodles recalled by the Malaysia and Taiwan authorities is not registered for sale in Nigeria. According to NAFDAC, Indomie noodles are on the import prohibition list in Nigeria and not permitted for importation into the country. The agency added that it had begun the random sampling of Indomie noodles, including the seasoning from the production facilities and the markets for the presence of ethylene oxide, as well as extending the investigation to all the brands of instant. Nigeria's Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) has urged state government to ensure increased sensitization, surveillance, and response to Lassa fever. The NCDC said while the federal government coordinates the Lassa fever response at the national level, the state governments must take responsibility for their citizens but have problems within their boundaries. The agency said this at the Lassa fever research colloquium and workshop held in collaboration with the University College London and Johns Hopkins Program for International Education in Gynecology national level, adding that it is an area of strategic importance to Health Secretariat to coordinate input. The government continues to invest in the space. And sports, Leeds United have sacked manager Javi Gracia and appointed former England boss Sam Allardyce in a bid to avoid relegation from the Premier League. Spaniard Gracia, appointed February, has been dismissed after the weeks and 12 games in charge at Elland Road. Meanwhile, Allardyce, aged 68, is tasked with guiding 17th place Leeds on Saturday. Still in sport, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says Arsenal have won the most important title this season in the Premier League. According to the City boss, the Gunners should be proud of their achievement so far as they battle with the defending champions for the league title. He was full of praise for Mikel Arteta and his players after they leapfrogged his citizens to the top of the league. Meanwhile, Arteta's side returned to the summit of the league after an easy 3-1 win over Chelsea in the London derby last night at the Emirates. On entertainment news, Nigerian comedian Richard Makun, popularly known as AY, is taking his comedy to Netflix. After over 15 years in comedy, the comedian shares his thought on eccentric pastors, media bias, and medical payment plans. Reports say that the eclectic debut special was filmed at the Rock Hill venue in Atlanta, US. It is his first special in Atlanta. AY, Sporting the Difference, is the first of two comedy specials from Nigerian comedians coming to Netflix this month. And still on entertainment, Dika Ofoma has a new film in the works called A Quiet Monday, following the successes of his last short films, The Way familial and communal relationships. The film features Uzoamaka Anono and Emmanuel Igwe in lead roles, with Ozioma Ejiofor, Daniel Ngozika, and Onyie Odokoro in supporting roles. A Quiet Monday is produced by Blessing Uzi, production supervisor. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel David White. Good afternoon.